AITA for calling off my wedding after my fiancée said her ex understood her better? I'm Oliver, 38, and after almost 7 years with Megan, I honestly thought the hardest part of getting married would be choosing between chicken, salmon, or the vegetarian pasta nobody was going to eat. By the time everything fell apart, our spare bedroom had turned into a wedding storage closet. There were favor boxes stacked against one wall, invitation stamps in a kitchen drawer, seating chart printouts on the coffee table, and half-open registry gifts we kept saying we would organize after the honeymoon. My life was pretty ordinary. I worked, paid bills, called my dad on Sundays, and came home to a place that was slowly being swallowed by ribbons, envelopes, and vendor contracts. I kept telling myself the tight feeling in my stomach was normal pre-wedding stress. Every engaged couple probably had one topic they fought about. Every couple probably had one person from the past who made things awkward. Every couple probably had moments where one person had to be mature, take a breath, and not turn discomfort into a war. For us, that person was Ryan. Ryan was Megan's ex-boyfriend. He was 36, charming in a low-effort way, and had the kind of casual confidence that made every inappropriate thing sound harmless if you didn't think about it too long. Megan had introduced him to me early in our relationship as an old friend. Not my ex I still talk to when I'm lonely. Not the man who knows the emotional parts of me I like to revisit. Just an old friend. I tried to believe that. I really did. Megan was 35, and I loved her for real reasons. She was warm without being loud, sharp without being cruel. She remembered little details about people and made them feel like they mattered. When my father came to dinner after the anniversary of my mom's passing, Megan noticed he kept reaching for water instead of saying he was uncomfortable, and she quietly turned the conversation toward old fishing stories until he relaxed. After our engagement party, she wrote thank you notes that sounded like she had actually sat with each person in mind. That was her gift. Megan could make you feel like you were the only person in the room. The problem was, she could do that for anyone she wanted to keep close. Ryan started as background noise. A late-night text here. An old playlist there. Some inside joke under an engagement photo that made my phone feel heavier in my hand. One night, around 11:15, Megan's phone lit up while we were watching TV. She glanced at it, smiled, and turned the screen face down. I asked, "Everything okay?" "Ryan," she said. "He's going through a hard time." "What kind of hard time?" She gave me this soft look, like I had already failed some test. "Just life stuff. I'm not going to share his private business." I nodded because I didn't want to be that guy. The jealous fiancé. The controlling one. The man who thought a woman stopped being allowed to have a past once he put a ring on her finger. A week later, Ryan sent her an old playlist from when they were dating. Megan played one song while making dinner, humming softly over the stove. I said, "That's from him." She didn't even turn around. "It's just nostalgia. It feels a little intimate." She laughed, not meanly, but dismissively. "It's music, Oliver." Another time, Ryan commented on one of our engagement photos. Megan was laughing in the picture, her hand on my chest, my arm around her waist. Ryan wrote, "There's that impossible smile. Still trouble." I stared at the comment longer than I should have. Megan saw my face and sighed. "Don't start." I didn't say anything. You didn't have to. That became the pattern. I didn't have to say much. My discomfort was treated like evidence against me. For a while, I tried to reason with myself. Ryan was not in our home. Ryan was not between us on the couch. Ryan had a history with Megan, sure, but I had the present. I had the ring, the wedding date, the life we were building. I thought that should have been enough. Then the wedding planning started pulling Ryan out of the background and placing him directly in front of me. The first big fight happened at our kitchen table. We had the seating chart spread out between us, covered in sticky notes and little arrows because nobody wanted to put divorced relatives near each other. Megan was folding invitation envelopes while I looked at the rehearsal dinner list. Ryan's name was not on it yet, but his shadow was already there. I said, "I want to be clear about something before this gets messy." Megan kept folding. "Okay, I'm not asking you to cut Ryan off. I'm asking you not to involve him in wedding decisions." Her fingers paused for half a second, then kept moving. "He isn't involved in wedding decisions. He commented on the song list last week. He made one joke. He sent you 3 suggestions. Because he knows my taste." I looked at her. That's kind of the point. She set down an envelope. "Oliver, I'm serious. I'm not asking you to erase him. I'm asking you not to give him a seat in the middle of our marriage before it even starts. Her face changed. Not anger exactly. More like disappointment she had prepared in advance. You keep acting like my past is something I need to apologize for, she said. I'm not asking for an apology for your past. Then what are you asking for? Respect. She leaned back. A secure partner wouldn't need to police my friendships. That sentence stayed with me because it sounded polished, not spontaneous, like something she had tried out before. I said, a respectful partner wouldn't make me feel like a guest at my own wedding. She looked away, and for a second I thought I had reached her. Then she said, Ryan was part of my life before you. That doesn't mean he's a threat. That was another line I heard again and again, with small variations. He was there before you. He knows certain parts of me. You don't get to shrink my life. Trust should not be this fragile. Megan had a way of speaking softly while pushing a knife in. If I raised my voice, I became unstable. If I stayed quiet, she filled the silence with her version of events. If I asked for a boundary, she renamed it insecurity before it had a chance to breathe. So I started speaking less. I watched more. A few weeks before the wedding, a vendor email came through our shared wedding planning account. We used that account for everything: contracts, head counts, seating charts, officiant forms, registry information, the whole mess. The subject line was boring enough that I almost ignored it. Final rehearsal dinner, head count confirmation. I opened it while drinking coffee at the kitchen counter. The vendor had listed the count and asked us to confirm special guests. Right there, under that section, between Megan's aunt and Kayla's +1, was Ryan. Ryan. I read the email twice, then a third time, because part of me was still stupid enough to think there might be another Ryan. There was not. Megan came into the kitchen in sweatpants, her hair twisted up, scrolling on her phone. I asked, why is Ryan on the rehearsal dinner list? She froze just long enough to answer the question without answering it. Oh, she said. I was going to tell you. When? Before the dinner. That's not an answer. She set her phone down. I didn't think it was going to be this big thing. You invited your ex to our rehearsal dinner and didn't tell me. He's not just my ex. I let out one short laugh. I didn't mean to, but it came out before I could stop it. Right? That makes it better. He's my friend, she said. He was part of my life for a long time. He deserves closure. Closure from what? Our marriage. Her eyes narrowed. Don't twist it. I'm asking a real question. No, you're being threatened. I'm being disrespected. She crossed her arms. Ryan understands certain parts of me because he was there for them. If that bothers you, maybe you need to work on yourself before becoming someone's husband. I stared at her, waiting for the apology that never came. Finally, I said, are you marrying me, or are you trying to make me share the aisle with your past? She looked at me like I had embarrassed her in an empty room. That is such an ugly thing to say, she whispered. I didn't answer because I knew if I did, she would turn the conversation into my tone instead of her decision. After that, something shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, but I could feel it. Megan became more careful with her phone. Ryan's name stopped appearing casually in conversation, which somehow made him feel more present, not less. Then Kayla sent me a screenshot. Kayla was Megan's maid of honor. She was friendly to me, but not close. She had always seemed like the kind of friend who would defend Megan first and ask questions later, so when her name popped up on my phone, I expected some wedding logistics question. Instead, she wrote, I don't want to get involved, but I also don't feel right pretending I didn't see this. The screenshot was from the bridal party group chat. Megan had written, Oliver is spiraling about Ryan again. If he's this insecure before the wedding, I'm worried what marriage will look like. One bridesmaid had replied with a laughing emoji. Another wrote, Men get weird when they realize they weren't the first chapter. Megan responded, Exactly. I need him to grow up before the wedding. I sat in my car outside the grocery store and read it until the words blurred. I was not angry at first. I was embarrassed. Not because they had called me insecure, but because I had been trying so hard to handle this privately while Megan was already making me the joke. I typed back to Kayla, Thank you for telling me. She replied, I'm sorry. I thought she had told you about Ryan coming to the rehearsal dinner. I didn't realize she hid it. That was the first time I saw proof that my private discomfort had become public entertainment. Still, I did not explode. I asked Megan about the group chat that night while we were sitting on the couch. She was going through the wedding video questionnaire, filling in answers about people who shaped the bride and groom. Did you tell the bridesmaids I was spiraling? I asked. She did not look up. Kayla showed you. That's not what I asked. She exhaled through her nose. I vented to my friends. You mocked me to your bridal party for having a problem with your ex being invited behind my back. I said you were struggling. You said I needed to grow up. She finally looked at me. Do you? I felt something in me go still. Before I could answer, she pointed at the questionnaire. Ryan should probably be included in this section. I stared at the paper. What section? People who shaped us. For the wedding video? Yes. You want your ex in our wedding video? Her face tightened. He knew me during a chapter that made me who I am. I said, Megan, this is not a documentary about your personal growth. It's our wedding. You're doing it again. What? Making my history about your ego. I stood up. Not fast. Not dramatically. Just up. I'm going for a drive. She laughed once, sharp and quiet. That's mature. I did not answer. I took my keys and left before the part of me that wanted to yell could take over. My sister Claire answered on the second ring. Claire is 41, and she has never been the kind of person who tells you what you want to hear just because you sound miserable. When I told her the short version, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Oliver, facts aren't revenge. I'm not trying to get revenge. I know, but you're still acting like telling the truth is the same as being cruel. I don't want to turn everyone against her. She's already trying to turn everyone against you. I sat in my parked car with the engine off, watching rain collect at the edge of the windshield. Claire said, being private is one thing. Letting someone lie about you is another. That sentence settled somewhere deep. A couple of days later, the officiant sent a reminder through the shared wedding account. Please upload vow drafts by Friday for ceremony review. I opened the shared folder because that was where we kept everything the officiant needed. Readings, ceremony preferences, family names, vow drafts. I had not written much yet. A few messy lines. Nothing poetic. I wanted my vows to sound like me, not like a greeting card. Megan's draft was already there. I would not have opened it if the folder had not shown a notification beside the file. Ryan commented on Megan Vows Draft 3. At first, my brain refused to understand what I was seeing. Ryan commented on my fiancée's wedding vows. I clicked the file. There are some things you cannot unsee once the screen is in front of you. The first few paragraphs were normal enough. Megan wrote about meeting me, about how steady I was, about how I made coffee too strong and never remembered where I put my sunglasses. She wrote that I made her laugh when she was trying to stay mad. It almost hurt worse because those parts sounded real. Then I got to the line. Some people teach you what love is, and some people teach you what safety feels like. Ryan had highlighted it and commented, honest, but maybe too obvious. Megan replied, I know. I just don't know how else to say it. I stared at that line so long my eyes started burning. Some people teach you what love is. Some people teach you what safety feels like. I understood exactly which one of us was love and which one of us was safety. And safety did not feel like a compliment. Not there. Not in vows Ryan had helped shape. Not in the words Megan was planning to say at the altar in front of my family while I stood there thinking I had been chosen. There were more comments. Ryan wrote, maybe frame it as finding peace after chaos. Megan replied, that sounds better. I don't want Oliver to take it wrong. Ryan wrote, he might, but it's your truth. Your truth. I leaned back from the laptop and pressed both palms against my face. I was not competing with Ryan. I was competing with a fantasy Megan refused to bury. Then I saw something worse. A message had been pasted into the bottom of the document, probably by accident when Megan copied notes from another chat. It was not long. It was not sexual. That almost made it harder to explain why it hit so hard. Megan had written to Ryan. Sometimes I wonder what life would have looked like if timing had been different. There was a small heart after it. Ryan had responded, I think about that too, but I want you happy. The timestamp was 3 weeks before our wedding. I sat alone at the dining table while the apartment hummed around me. The refrigerator clicked on. A car passed outside. Somewhere in the spare room, one of the favor boxes slid slightly and tapped against another box like the house itself was reminding me what all of this had been for. For a few minutes, I wanted to storm into the bedroom and wake Megan up. I wanted to shove the laptop in front of her and ask how she could stand beside me in front of 120 people with vows shaped by a man she still wondered about. But I knew exactly how that would go. She would cry. Then she would say I violated her privacy, even though the folder was shared. Then she would say vows were emotional and complicated. Then she would say I was punishing her for honesty. By morning, I would be the man who snooped, overreacted, and tried to control the language of her heart. For once, I was not going to let her define the story before I had a chance to tell the truth. So I took screenshots. I saved the vow draft, Ryan's comments, Megan's replies, the accidental message, the rehearsal dinner email, and the group chat screenshot Kayla had sent me. I downloaded the vendor contracts. I opened bank records and made a list of every deposit paid from my account, every charge on my card, every shared wedding expense, and every remaining balance. I did not touch anything that was solely Megan's. I did not drain accounts. I did not do anything clever or shady. I separated what was mine, documented what was shared, and made sure I could explain every move if I had to. The next morning, Megan noticed I was calm. That bothered her more than anger would have. She stood in the bedroom doorway while I folded laundry. "You've been cold," she said. "I've been quiet." "That's what I mean." I placed a shirt in the drawer. "I'm done arguing about whether my feelings are allowed to exist." She frowned. "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means I heard you." "About Ryan?" "About everything." Her eyes moved over my face, searching for a fight. I gave her nothing. She said, "We're having dinner with my mom Friday. Both families. We need to clear the air before the wedding gets any more stressful." I knew exactly what that dinner was meant to be. Megan wanted witnesses. She wanted her mother's pressure, a few relatives' judgment, and the heavy weight of flights booked and gifts bought, and "Don't embarrass us now," pressing down on me until I folded. I said, "Fine." She blinked. "Fine. Yes. We'll clear the air." That night, I called Claire again. I told her more this time. When I read her the vow line, she went silent in a way I had never heard from her. Then she said, "Please tell me you saved it." I did. "Good. I don't want to humiliate her." Claire sighed. "Oliver, she is bringing both families together to humiliate you into compliance." I closed my eyes. She softened a little. "You don't have to scream to stand up for yourself." After Claire, I called my dad, Mark. He is 64, quiet, and not someone who gives dramatic speeches. I told him only what he needed to know. He listened without interrupting. Then he said, "A wedding is expensive. I know, but a bad marriage costs more." That was all. No rant. No insult toward Megan. Just the kind of sentence that hits harder because it doesn't try to. By Friday afternoon, I had already checked the vendor contracts. The venue deposit was mostly gone. The photographer retainer was non-refundable. The catering payment still had a partial refund window, if canceled by Monday. The rehearsal dinner contract was under my name. The final dress balance was on my card because Megan had cried months earlier about how overwhelmed she was with expenses, and I had said I would handle it. The registry was under both our names, but I could remove myself and pause gift settings. The wedding savings account had been funded mostly by me, but I transferred only the amount I could clearly prove was mine and left Megan's contributions untouched. For the ring, I spoke to someone who explained the rules in a way that kept me from making an emotional mistake. I followed the advice. I was not trying to win a legal fight. I was trying to leave clean. Before dinner, I printed the evidence and put it in a plain folder. Megan saw it under my arm as we walked in. "What's that?" she asked. "Clarity." She gave me a look. "Please don't be dramatic tonight." I almost laughed. The dinner was in a private room with a long table, the kind of space people book when they want a family conversation to feel formal without admitting it is an intervention. Diane, Megan's mother, was already seated when we arrived. She was 62, dressed neatly, lips pressed together like she had been waiting all day to be disappointed in me. My dad sat near the end of the table. Claire was beside him. Megan's aunt and uncle were there, along with Kayla, 2 bridesmaids, and a cousin who had flown in early and kept checking her phone like she wished she had stayed home. Diane started before the appetizers were fully down. "We need to clear the air before this wedding gets any more stressful," she said. Megan placed her hand over mine on the table. To anyone else, it probably looked affectionate. To me, it felt like stage direction. She said, "Oliver has been having a hard time with Ryan being part of my life." I gently moved my hand away. Megan's mouth tightened, but she continued, "I've tried to be patient. I've tried to reassure him. But he keeps acting like I'm supposed to pretend my past didn't exist just so he can feel like the only man who ever mattered. Diane nodded immediately. That's not fair to you. Megan looked around the table, eyes shiny. I love Oliver. I want to marry him. But I also can't enter marriage feeling like I have to shrink my life to keep him secure. The words were so smooth, so practiced. If I had not had the folder beside me, I might have wondered if I really was the problem. Her uncle cleared his throat. Oliver, grown men can't be afraid of ex-boyfriends. One bridesmaid murmured, especially when nothing happened. Diane leaned forward. People have already booked flights. We have relatives asking about hotels. This is not the time to act out jealousy. I looked at Megan. She looked sad. Beautifully sad. Publicly sad. Diane kept going. You are making my daughter pay for being honest about her life. That was when my dad shifted in his chair, but he still did not speak. I let everyone finish. Megan dabbed under one eye with her napkin. I just need him to trust me. I picked up the folder and placed it on the table. The sound was small, but the room went quiet. I said, if I'm the villain in this story, then everyone here deserves the whole story. Megan's face changed instantly. Oliver, she said. I opened the folder. I'm not going to make a speech. I'm going to show what happened. I slid the rehearsal dinner email into the center of the table. Ryan was invited to the rehearsal dinner without my knowledge. I found out from a vendor headcount email. Diane glanced at the paper. That could have been discussed privately. It was discussed privately, I said. Megan said he deserved closure. Megan said, that's not fair. I placed the group chat screenshot beside it. This is how my private concern was discussed with the bridal party. Kayla looked down at her lap. One bridesmaid stopped moving completely. Megan reached for the screenshot. I put my hand on it, not aggressively, just enough to stop her. You made it public, I said. I'm responding publicly. Her aunt read the screenshot and frowned. Her uncle leaned back. Then I placed the vow draft pages on the table. This is the part one didn't know until recently. Ryan wasn't just invited. He was helping write Megan's vows. Nobody spoke. I turned the page so the highlighted line faced Diane. Some people teach you what love is, and some people teach you what safety feels like, I read. Diane's expression flickered. I tapped Ryan's comment. Ryan wrote, honest, but maybe too obvious. Megan replied, I know. I just don't know how else to say it. Megan whispered, you had no right. I looked at her. It was in our shared wedding folder for the officiant. That was personal. Our vows were personal. You invited him into them. The room felt airless. I placed the last page down. And this is Megan's message to Ryan 3 weeks before our wedding. Sometimes I wonder what life would have looked like if timing had been different. Megan's aunt said her name under her breath. Diane stared at the paper and said nothing. Megan's eyes filled for real this time. Not polished. Not ready. It wasn't like that. I nodded once. Then explain it. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I said, I didn't end this because Megan had a past. I ended it because she kept trying to bring that past into our marriage and expected me to pay for the wedding while pretending I didn't see it. End this. Diane asked sharply. I pulled the payment records from the folder. I've canceled the wedding contracts under my name. I've removed myself from the registry. I'm separating the wedding savings according to what each of us contributed. Anything under Megan's name is hers to handle. Megan stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. You canceled the wedding? I canceled my part in it. You can't do that. I already did. Her voice rose. So you planned this? You sat there pretending everything was fine while you planned to humiliate me. I looked around the table. No, I planned to protect myself because you brought me here to be pressured into accepting a version of the truth that left out the worst parts. Diane snapped. This is cruel. Claire spoke for the first time. What was cruel was letting him stand at an altar with vows her ex helped write. Diane turned toward her. This is family business. Claire's voice stayed flat. He was about to be family. My dad looked at the vow draft again, then folded the page carefully and put it down. He did not say anything, but the look on his face told me enough. Megan started crying harder. I was confused, she said. I was emotional. Weddings bring things up. I didn't cheat on you. I didn't say you did. Then why are you doing this? Because betrayal doesn't have to be physical to be real. She shook her head. You embarrassed me. You made it their business when you made me the villain at this table. Kayla finally spoke, quietly. Megan, You should have told him Ryan helped with the vows. Megan looked betrayed. Are you serious right now? Kayla swallowed. Yes. That was the moment Megan lost the room. Not completely. Not in some dramatic movie way where everyone stood up and applauded me. Her mother still looked angry. One bridesmaid looked like she wanted to defend her, but could not find the words. Her uncle avoided eye contact. Her aunt kept reading the timing message like it might change if she stared at it long enough. But the story Megan had brought them there to believe was gone. I stood up. I'm leaving, I said. I'll send one message with the necessary information. After that, I'm not debating this. Megan grabbed my wrist. Oliver, wait. I looked down at her hand until she let go. Her voice dropped. Can we please talk at home? No. Please. I wanted to feel nothing. I did not. I still loved parts of her, which made the decision hurt worse. But love is not a reason to walk into humiliation with your eyes open. I said, you embarrassed yourself when you made me the backup plan at my own wedding. Then I left. The next 24 hours were ugly in the quiet, modern way things get ugly now. Missed calls, long texts, voicemails that started soft and ended furious. Family group chat notifications piling up so fast, I turned my phone face down. Megan texted first. I can't believe you did that to me. Then, you misunderstood everything. Then, please come home and let me explain. Then, my mom is crying. Do you even care? Then, you are punishing me for being honest. I replied once. You were not honest. You were exposed. The engagement is over. I will communicate only about logistics. Then I stopped answering. I sent the vendor emails that night. To the rehearsal dinner coordinator, I wrote, please cancel the services under my name effective immediately and confirm any available refund. To catering, I requested cancellation within the partial refund window. To the photographer, I accepted that the retainer was gone. To the registry, I removed my name and paused the settings so guests could not keep sending gifts into a collapsing situation. Every confirmation email felt less like revenge and more like taking my name off a mistake. The dress boutique called the next morning about the remaining balance that had been scheduled on my card. I told them I was no longer authorizing that payment and that Megan would need to handle any remaining charges herself. The woman on the phone paused, then said carefully, I understand. We'll update the account. I expected that call to feel petty. It did not. It felt like closing a door I should never have opened. Megan found out within an hour. You canceled my dress payment? She said in a voicemail. Do you understand how humiliating that is? I almost called her back. I almost said, do you understand how humiliating it is to find out your fiancé's ex helped write the vows she planned to say to you? But I had already learned the danger of arguing with someone who only heard your pain as a challenge to their image. So I did not respond. I went back to the shared place with Claire and my dad while Megan was at her mother's. I packed my clothes, my books, a box of kitchen things that had been mine before us, and the framed photo of my parents that Megan had once placed on the hallway table because she said it made the place feel like family. The spare bedroom looked ridiculous. Favor boxes still stacked like little monuments to denial. Ribbon spools on the floor. A half-finished welcome sign leaning against the wall. The seating chart was still on the desk, with Ryan's name written neatly in Megan's handwriting under rehearsal dinner. Claire saw me looking at it. You okay? She asked. No. She nodded. Good answer. My dad carried a box to the door and said, you don't have to perform pain for anyone. That helped more than I expected. By the end of the day, I sent one message to both families and the wedding party. I kept it factual because I knew any emotion would be used as evidence that I was unstable. I'm not sending this to create more drama. I'm sending it because a version of events is being shared that is not true. I did not end this because Megan had a past. I ended it because she repeatedly brought that past into our wedding and expected me to stay silent while being called insecure for objecting. The wedding is canceled. I will not be marrying Megan. I wish everyone well. But I won't be debating my decision. I attached only what was necessary. The rehearsal dinner email, the vow comments, the timing message, and the payment summary. Not every text. Not every hurtful screenshot. Just enough to stop the lie from becoming permanent. Then I left the group chat. Diane sent me a separate message later. Someday you will regret humiliating her like this. I stared at it for a long moment, then deleted it without replying. A few people reached out privately. Megan's aunt wrote, I'm sorry. I didn't know. One bridesmaid sent a short message saying she wished she had stayed out of the group chat. Kayla apologized again and said she hoped I understood why she had sent the screenshot. I told her I did. The most surprising part was Ryan. I heard about him through Kayla, not because I asked, but because she thought I should know the part that made the whole thing even uglier. Apparently, after the dinner, Megan called Ryan crying. She expected him to defend her, maybe even admit their bond was special enough to justify the chaos. Instead, Ryan backed away so fast it almost would have been funny if it had not been my life. He told her, "I never wanted to be dragged into the middle of this." That line stuck with me. Dragged. As if he had not commented on her vows. As if he had not accepted the rehearsal dinner invite. As if he had not enjoyed being the man she still turned to until being important came with consequences. Ryan liked being the ghost in the room. He did not want to be seen holding the sheet. Megan called me from a number I did not recognize 2 days later. I answered because I was dealing with vendors and thought it might be one of them. Her voice was raw. "He won't talk to me," she said. I closed my eyes. "Megan. Ryan. He says he needs space because everyone is blaming him." I almost laughed, but there was nothing funny about it. "That's between you and him. How can you be this cold?" "I'm not cold. I'm done." She cried quietly for a moment. Then her voice sharpened. "You destroyed everything." "No," I said. "I stopped paying for it." She went silent. I added, "You wanted Ryan close enough to help write the words you were going to say to me. Now you're upset because he won't stand close enough to face the fallout. That's not fair." "Maybe not, but it's true." She whispered, "I did love you." I believed her, in the limited way she meant it. Megan loved me like a stable place to land. Like a person who made her life easier, calmer, safer. But part of her still treated Ryan like the proof that she had once been deeply seen. She wanted the comfort of me and the emotional charge of him. She wanted the wedding, the registry, the family applause, the dress, the vows, the life. She just also wanted a hidden door left open to a version of herself that did not have to choose. I said, "I know you loved what I gave you." She did not answer. I ended the call and blocked the number. The weeks after that were not clean. People like to imagine big decisions bring instant peace, but mostly they bring paperwork, refund forms, address changes, awkward conversations, returning gifts, explaining the same thing in fewer and fewer words until your own heartbreak starts sounding like a customer service script. Some deposits were lost. A lot of money was gone for good. There were guests who were annoyed about flights and relatives who thought I should have worked it out privately, which was easy for them to say because they were not the ones expected to stand at an altar while another man's fingerprints were on the vows. I returned what needed to be returned. I separated what needed to be separated. I slept badly. I ate cereal for dinner more than once. I woke up some mornings reaching for a future that no longer existed and had to remind myself why I had let it burn. But I did not go back. The spare room eventually emptied. The wedding boxes disappeared. The kitchen drawer no longer had invitation stamps in it. The registry emails stopped. The silence in my life felt strange at first, then honest. One evening, my dad came over with takeout. We ate at my small table, the TV on low, neither of us saying much. After a while, he looked around and said, "Feels lighter in here." I said, "It feels empty." He nodded. Sometimes that comes first. That was about as poetic as Mark gets. Claire checked on me constantly without making it obvious. She sent dumb videos. She asked if I needed groceries. She invited me to dinner and did not act offended when I said no. One night she texted, "For what it's worth, I'm proud of you." I stared at that message longer than I expected. Because the truth was, I did not feel proud. Not at first. I felt tired, embarrassed, angry that I had let it go as far as it did. Angry that I had spent months trying not to look insecure while my fiancé privately treated my patience like weakness. But slowly, the anger became something cleaner. Clarity. I did not leave because Megan had loved someone before me. I am 38 years old. I know people have histories. I know love is not erased just because a new relationship begins. I was not asking her to pretend Ryan never existed. I left because she kept inviting him into places that should have belonged to us. Our arguments, our rehearsal dinner, our wedding video, our vows. And when I noticed, she did not protect me. She protected the version of herself that could do no wrong. That was what finally made the decision easy enough to survive. Not easy, just clear. Megan wanted me to believe trust meant accepting disrespect with a calm face. She wanted maturity to mean making room for whatever made her feel emotionally complete, even if it made me feel like an intruder in my own engagement. But trust is not letting someone test your dignity until it breaks. And maturity is not standing quietly while the person you are about to marry asks another man how to explain that you make her feel safe, while he remains the one who taught her what love was. I did not need to beat Ryan. I did not need Megan's family to vote on whether my pain was reasonable. I did not need to prove I was the better man in some contest Megan kept pretending did not exist. I needed to stop fighting for a place that should have already been mine. So I did. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.